Looks like we're right at 6:30. And so I know we have just a short amount of time, so I want to go ahead and get started right on time. So welcome everyone. My name is Fritzie Charne-Merriwether. I am the Assistant to the Vice President of Student Affairs, and I also serve as a Director of Parent and Family Engagement. And so I'm excited to be with you all this evening to bring to you this presentation from our wonderful Career Center. Before we get started, I'm just going to do some quick housekeeping just to help us get through the event in an efficient manner. For those of you who are new to WebEx, it's similar to your Zoom and other platforms that you've probably used for virtual calling. And so we will be Christine will be sharing her screen here in a moment and displaying a presentation. And so we invite you all at any point during the presentation, if you have a question, to utilize the chat feature. I will be monitoring that and helping kind of us get through the questions as quickly as possible. And I also know that Christine will most likely be leaving some time at the end to capture any questions that we may have not have gotten through as she's gone through her presentation. And so in an effort to help us get through the presentation quickly, you all have entered in mute. You can unmute yourself if you would like to speak with someone, but we ask that you please just stay muted unless you are actually speaking or having a question to the presenter. It just helps us avoid feedback and things like that that may be a little bit distracting as folks are trying to listen. But just so you all know, this event is being recorded. We had a great response, and so we had a lot of people wanting to join this, and unfortunately, we had to cap it at a certain level to allow us to have a fruitful conversation. And so we will be recording this event and posting it in our Family Connection portal for those individuals who are unable to join us. And so, and then when we wrap up this evening, I'm certain that Christine will be sharing information about how we stay in touch with you, as well as will do that as well if we have questions following this event regarding this particular content. And so, that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Christine, who's representing our Career Center. She's our wonderful director here at UMBC. I will let her do introductions and I will let her take it away. Thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you, Fritzie, and thank you so much for the invite. I'm really excited to be here this evening, and thank you to all the families for your support and interest in being involved. You are integral in terms of being important in your students' decision-making and career success. As Fritzie shared, I'm Christine Routzahn. I serve as the director of the Career Center. I've actually been at UMBC for a little over 20 years. When I tell your students that, they gasp. But I say it proudly. I've shared many times with our employers that UMBC also stands for You Made the Best Choice in Recruiting. And that's why we always have, as you see on the picture at the bottom, so many employers recruiting our UMBC talent. My goal today is to simply share a couple tips with you in terms of working with your student for their career success, also sharing information about some of our programs and initiatives, in addition to introducing a little bit about our new platform, Handshake. So we will begin, but please feel free to ask any questions during this. Once my presentation goes up, I cannot see all of you. So again, I would love to be, feel free to unmute and ask a question at any time, and I'll leave some time at the end. But let's get started. Let's go on our career journey. So in terms of the Career Center, we have a very wonderful team of about 15. And our whole goal and our whole mission and vision is really one thing, to empower all of your students and our graduates to create their own success stories. And our goal is to understand that everyone's success story looks a little bit different. Our students are going into various fields, various interests, and what we want to do is make sure that we create those wonderful connections to create those success stories and help our students understand what the possibilities are. Sometimes you go into college and there's a lot of pressure. What is your major? What are you going to study? What are you going to become? And that's a lot to take on. And so our role is not only to really make those connections, but to help students understand what the possibilities are and to also inspire them. So this is just a photo of some of our team members, actually just from last week, when we had a big resume rescue day right before our career fair. I always like to highlight an important question that I'm asked many times, and that you should always ask universities as you're thinking about it. As a university, we are required to look at where do students go after they graduate. It is a requirement across universities to actually also publish this information. So when you look at our UMBC data, we should be very proud. We look at data 6 months after graduation. So where are students after 6 months within, after graduation? And we look at our undergraduate and our graduate data. When we look at our undergraduate, 90% of our most recent class were either employed in grad or professional school or both. And that's from 21. Our 2002 data will be actually ready in about 2 months. The other important thing to look at is when we look at those that are employed, 55%, which is really important to kind of look at 55% interned or worked for that organization while at UMBC. So that's a point that we hone in on a lot and share with students, because one of the best ways, not only to understand what you want to do, but also in terms of employment, is to engage in opportunities with organizations early on, because many times they lead to post-graduation employment. You may be thinking, well, of course everyone's employed. They have to do something right after graduation. A question that we ask that's not required of students is, if you are employed, are you in a position related to your career goals and interests? And I'm happy to report, out of all the undergraduates, 87% said yes. And that's really also important to think about. So in terms of where our students go, this graphic is pretty big, but our students who graduated went into over 1,000 unique organizations. So they're not all going to the same place. We have 1 student here, 2 students here, but a couple of the big ones that are kind of taking a lot of students, of course, include Amazon, Exelon, your BG&E, Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab, Kennedy Krieger, Microsoft, Morgan Stanley, NIH, NSA, Stanley Black & Decker. These are just some, but our students were actually all over the country, in 38 states, including DC, and 10 different countries. When we look at Maryland, for those families who don't want your student to leave, you want them to stay right with you, 72% of our most recent graduates stayed within the state. And many of them, and that's just with employment. Many of our students also, of course, go on to further their studies. Over about 160 different unique institutions our students finished or going toward their master's, doctoral degrees, and also professional degrees in law, medicine, and other areas. So when I said the word 90%, you might be wondering, is that good? Is that strong? You think about the A, B, and C, and D, and the Fs. But we, again, it is a requirement that our institutions show the data. Our data is also based on a very high knowledge rate of where our students go, roughly about, we know exactly 73%. So our data is very strong of where our students go. So again, I mentioned 90% of our students who graduated, undergraduates, were in employment or grad or professional school within 6 months. When you look at the other institutions, the national average is 82%. Public institutions like us as a state institution, 78%. And then large institutions, over 10,000 students, 83%. So UMBC continues to do well, and it also highlights the talent, the strength of the students that are within the institution, but also the employer community that comes to recruit our students. I wanted to also highlight, again, so I've been at UMBC for a long time, and my big push and our biggest unit within the Career Center focuses on internships, applied learning, and across our institution, we are not the only office who focuses on making sure students get experience. And so the one thing that I instill or ask you is to continue to ask your student, hey, what are you involved in? Because that is the resume builder. So whether it's an internship, study abroad, getting involved in a student organization, maybe a leadership opportunity, knocking on the door or walking to the Shriver Center and signing up to an opportunity to get involved in service learning, their research experiences, there's so many different opportunities, whether a student is in the creative area, in the technical area, in the humanities or liberal arts or the sciences. To get involved. In UMBC, like I mentioned, UMBC also stands for You Made the Best Choice in Recruiting. When you think about our area, we have the best hospitals and research centers. We are surrounded by change agents and nonprofits. We have the best educational settings. In fact, at UMBC, we have over 100 startup companies. We are federal agencies, so a lot of different opportunities for our students. The other piece with regard to the work of the Career Center, our work, again, is part of the internships, co-ops, and research, but we want to bring our students who are getting these experiences together. It is not easy having your first professional experience, particularly now. Students are also having to understand, how do you make professional connections and develop a good relationship with a supervisor that maybe is working 2 days a week and the rest in a remote capacity. So we have an internship practicum, a research practicum, multiple practicum courses where students on their official transcript will have their internship noted, and they will come together in reflection, come together for professional development. They get evaluations done by their supervisor, again, to continue to build their career-ready skills. We are very proud. We had last year 1,500 enrollments, but usually we have about 1,500 to 1,900 enrollments every year for students at the undergrad and grad level. In terms of who comes to the Career Center, you might think it's crickets, but it's not. We got a lot of students. About 81% of all of our undergraduates come through the Career Center. We want to continue to make that strong. They can come in through virtual options, and I'll kind of go through those. Some of our employers are holding a lot of virtual sessions, other in person. We had over 16,000 jobs that were posted for UMBC students, but our work is to engage them in any way we can. And that's through different programs like the ones that are listed here. So we do in-person and virtual career coaching meetings. So if your student needs a resume review, help with an interview, deciding on what internship or what full-time offer, how to negotiate salary, we do all of that. They can sign up for either 30-minute sessions or 60-minute sessions. We do field trips pretty much every other week to different organizations. We do panels. Yesterday we had one on health IT, employer information sessions. We have Merck coming tomorrow and Kennedy Krieger. Lots of different conferences, workshops, again, really to help promote different opportunities and inspire students. We also will launch an intern and service fund next month for students who are accepting opportunities that are unpaid. We believe strongly that all students should have paid internship experiences. Job fairs. Friday was a big day for us. We had our spring career fair with about 150 different employers. This is a photo of our event. It's a way for students to interact and get to know. We have freshman friendly signs on that's the red little bullets. We have also markers for where our alumni are. But again, a way for students to get quick potential interviews for internships and full-time roles. We already know students who've got offers on the spot. And these are organizations at all levels, from private companies to startups. I also want to highlight spring. Fall is kind of our heaviest recruiting time, but it truly never ends. And then in March, next month, we'll be doing a couple different conferences for students, particularly those in the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. And then we'll do another one for the College of Natural Mathematical Sciences, speed networking with alumni and employers. April is our career month. We have usually about 40 different programs. We'll also do boutique career fairs that are focused on industry, one in tech, one in sciences, one in creative careers, and another in humanities and social sciences. Many of the students sometimes, I guess we don't always understand the value of a network. And I just wanted to stop and pause and highlight a platform that we have that I would love for you to kind of ask students if they've been on. And it's called Retrievers Connect. One thing that we do know is UMBC alumni want to give back, and they want to give back to students also in helping them with their careers. So we have close to 2,000 alumni at this point. A student can log on, they can search, hey, it was an alumni as part of the rugby club or rugby team, were they part of mock trial? And actually connect with them by video or set up a time, email, but they are all mentors specifically focused on supporting students in their career journey. So it's similar to a LinkedIn platform, but all of the alumni that are on here are focused on giving back to students with regard to their career. And this is a platform we launched about 2 months ago. 2 years ago.
Christine,
The other thing that was, sure.
We had a quick question in the chat. How is this information disseminated to students?
A wonderful question. So your student should be getting a weekly newsletter from the Career Center. We have it focused on to make sure that we target students in what they're studying. So we have one that's undecided. We have others that are in the arts because we highlight different programs and events that are specific and of interest to them, in addition to internship and full-time roles that would be of interest. So every Tuesday, roughly, they get a message. They can also join our My UMBC group. Our handshake that I'll highlight has all of our events and programs also. They get quite a bit of messaging from us. We try to though keep it at a consumable amount. And just I want to highlight, everyone talks about technical skills. We have worked with our kind of Greater Washington partnership employers as a university and have developed a set of badges that students can get to also complement their major. So if they are studying in the humanities or other fields of study, it's open to anyone. They can also show that they are tech ready. And we have a practicum 0 credit, so it's not intimidating. But they can work with us to get through some of these modules to show our employers that they have technical skills that also complement their degree. And again, these are skills that specifically have been identified by employers as being really important, which include things like how do you show and represent data, data analytics, so different kind of micro courses. The next thing I want to just highlight and end with is Handshake. We are very excited to launch Handshake. This is a new platform. I hope your students are talking about it right now. We are 6 months into the platform, but it truly is the #1 way in terms of college students, in terms of finding a position. The reason that it has received so much kind of headway and attraction from employers is the real purpose of it. It was created to remove barriers. So in the past, and if an employer wanted to recruit at UMBC, they had to go to UMBC's portal. If they wanted to recruit at Towson University, then they had to go to Towson's. But this portal, Handshake, allows a company to log in, post their position, and actually indicate across which institutions they want to share that opportunity, that internship. And so our students are getting more opportunities because the ease is there for employers. They do not have to spend hours upon hours logging into different websites. So we are seeing students have opportunities across the United States and beyond, and just more opportunities for experiences. This platform is, you know how sometimes you're talking on the phone and all of a sudden you're seeing ads in I'm still a Facebook person. You see ads in Facebook because you talked about going to Disney World, and that's all you see now is Disney World ads. Well, this is similar to Handshake. It is basically has strong AI capabilities, and it is monitoring what a student is typing in, and it will continue to recommend different opportunities to them. They can see all of our events. They can connect with employers. They can connect with other students to learn about their experience. I'm going to highlight just a couple of different ways. This is one of the pages. They can log in. When they log in, they will see events that they should perhaps attend based on what they're studying. They will see video chats that they can connect with. So employers can indicate that they can sign up, that a student who's interested in a certain position can sign up for a video chat, kind of a mini interview. They can select a time. This platform will then recommend roles that might interest them based on what they've keyed in. This right now, we're looking at a student who's a political science major. It'll show things that are trending or popular in their field of study. It'll show things that they're recommending based on activity, and then it'll go into different industries. So again, it really is a curated jobs platform for your student. They can also see what events are on campus, whether they're virtual, which is becoming very popular as we are connected today. They can see what coffee chats, on-campus interviews, or virtual interviews are taking place too through this platform. They can also connect with classmates. Students can log in. It's a big decision whether or not they want to accept a position with Bloomberg, let's say, or Morgan Stanley or another company. They can read reviews from other students. They can actually send a message to a student who wrote a review to see if they are willing to chat and talk about their experience. And they can write their own reviews, which is great. We all love to look at reviews for restaurants. Why not do the same thing for internships? They can also, like I said, do peer messaging, which is pretty popular, where students can connect with other peers who had that experience to get their advice on their career journey. This platform also can be, has an app, so students can apply to positions with the touch of their finger. They can send their resume out. They can look at different events and also continue to message each other about different, to broaden their network. And then last slide with this is they can also track all of their internship experiences. They could look at all their evaluations that their employers have given them. So if they're, at the end of their academic time at UMBC, they might want to think back on who do they want to serve as a reference. They can see what that employer wrote about them and decide whether or not they want to have that as a reference. So we're very excited about the different kind of tracking details that can be housed, that are housed within the Handshake platform. So again, Handshake is brand new to our institution. Please encourage your student to get involved. If you are also looking for UMBC talent, it is your way to also post at our institution and across other institutions. So I am going to stop sharing my screen because, I do want to also have some time to connect and answer questions. I am a parent of two sons, and they have a lot of, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of questions about careers, and I would love to make sure that how dedicated we are as a career center, as a community across our university to support the success of your students and their career success. So I will open it up to questions, and thank you.
Thank you, Christine. This was amazing. And actually, I'm going to get us started with questions because I know sometimes I'm a processor, so sometimes I like to think about, wait, what are some things that I'm thinking about, would like to ask? Do you have just immediately thinking about any tips or suggestions that you have for this group in terms of how they could best support their student to get connected to the Career Center, to make sure that they are on the right track in terms of, getting connected to the opportunities that are available?
Yeah, the first thing in terms of being supportive that would help us, we always highlight different events. They're getting our messages. I want you to, if they say they don't get our messages, then go on their email. You'll see them if you can. But, sometimes our students don't understand the value of a network. And perhaps sharing your own story. And sometimes they don't understand how people want to help each other, right? An alum wants to help a student to get ahead. They want to introduce. And a lot of times our students will get a message from an employer and they might get nervous, like, why are they contacting me on this Handshake platform? And so I would just say if you have an opportunity to have a conversation on what networking is, what is the value of also being okay to have conversations about careers, and for them to know that they're not in this alone. There are, we have so many different resources. We bring so many different employers, not because we want to, because we want to make sure that they're connected and to know that they're not alone in this process, nor if they feel unsure that they are definitely not alone. And, part of college is exploring what you want to do and what you don't want to do.
Awesome. I see a couple of questions have come in the chat. Do you offer training on Handshake at the Career Center for students?
We absolutely do. We just had like a couple pop-ups that we do, like a tabling, but students can also schedule in Handshake. They just go in and can schedule an appointment. We'll do a more detailed kind of overview with them one-on-one and talk about different opportunities in their field. And they can also we have drop-in appointments 2 to 4 that they can come in and get an overview. But our students are also very tech savvy. Many times the platform is very intuitive, so they pretty much pick it up pretty quickly. Sometimes I always ask, can I, do a run through? And they say, oh no, we got this, usually, although I still do the run through just in case.
Can you, I think this was for me. Can you provide a link to this recording to participate? Yes, we will be posting the link to the recording in the Family Connection portal, and I will most certainly send out the link once it's posted to this group. For sure.
Christine, I have a question. It's actually a two-part question. My first question is, what are your hours at the Career Center that students can come and kind of get some help and some assistance is the first part. And the second part, my son is a freshman and he's a little reserved, if you will. So it's what supports are there, because what I'm finding with internships and jobs, and they're looking for letters of recommendation. And I've asked him to connect with his professors, and he's a biological science major. And he, like in chemistry, he's in a lecture hall with a lot of different students. So he really doesn't have that intimate kind of I guess, time with the professor. What would you recommend to students as far as trying to get those letters of recommendations for like the internship opportunities?
Absolutely. So the first question was with regard to our hours, our physical hours in terms of our office. We're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. However, students can also access us. We do virtual evening appointments. So students who are not able to come in, but just want to kind of similar to this, want to connect in the evening, we also offer virtual appointments, express 15-minute quick resume reviews, but also one-on-one kind of career counseling in the evening that they can schedule. In terms of recommendations and references, it's I would say, when we think about our faculty, they want to be involved with students. There's also advisors. I think it's really important to encourage your student to go in office hours. There are a lot of students in every single course, so it's how do you stand out? And it's not just by your grade, but how do you connect with that faculty member? And kind of starting off the importance of networking. All of our faculty have office hours, and students don't take advantage of them. So I would recommend, as you talk to your student, to let them know that there is a value to stopping in an office and saying hello, introducing themselves on a personal level, because that will continue to build the relationship. Also, as your student goes through the courses will also get a little smaller as they progress. In addition to ask, all of our faculty members want to get their students involved in research. They have their bios on their website. The greatest compliment is for a student to actually read their own research. So I recommend that students look at the bios of faculty, see who aligns with their research interests, and don't be afraid to ask, do you have, all of our students are involved in research, so ask that faculty member if they can get involved in their own research, which will then, can continue to help them get experience for another opportunity, perhaps outside of UMBC too. We also have a lot of research awards at UMBC that they can apply for to get research under their belt, and they can present their research at the university during what we call URCAD, Undergraduate Research Creative Achievement Day.
Thank you.
other questions? And I got a message from S. I see it. I'm going to send you a message. It's a private message. Sorry, y'all. I'm responding now, but just if anyone else has any questions, feel free to jump in.
Hi, a question. I am an alumni. The Career Center helped me find my career job back in the 90s. They help students create a profile and then help them actually find job placements. Does the Career Center still do that, or is it up to the students to use these resources like Handshake to find jobs themselves? Do you guys do job placements?
So we don't like automatically like say, Amy, I appreciate your question that, as a student, you're graduating, you're going to be here, but we do have different programs that do some of more of the matching piece. But our goal is to create the opportunities where those placements can naturally be a part of, the next step. So, for example, tomorrow we have Kennedy Krieger coming to campus to specifically share information about their opportunities, and they're going to be doing one-on-one interviews right there at the event. So we don't necessarily place, our mission is to empower our students to create their own success stories, because that's what they're going to be doing moving forward, but making sure that they have the skills, the resources, and the connections on the campus to be able to do that successfully. But some of our programs are more of a placement. Like if you get in, we have a program that we run called the Shattuck Entrepreneur Intern Program. If they get into that, then I place them with a startup company. So it just depends on what initiative they apply to. But overall, it's more of helping make those connections.
Thank you.
And where can, you said all of these initiatives or your various initiatives, are they on your website? Because I know my son gets a lot of emails from a lot of different people. So I'm sure he's not reading the Career Center emails like that. So where can he find like the
Sure.
list of opportunities?
We have the lists are also in Handshake. So when your son logs into the platform, he'll see all the events and programs. But we like to encourage students to also go on their My UMBC page and also follow our group, because they'll get automatic alerts before an event to let them know that this company or this organization is coming to campus, or this initiative is occurring, to consider joining. So I would say to follow our My UMBC group page. We're also on LinkedIn. They can follow us there. And also, of course, which we're always pushing, is the Handshake, and to check our messages, because the messages we send, I think that's really important, is we don't send, if a student is in the arts, we're not going to send them life science opportunities. We try to really be intentional with our messaging to send things that would be relevant to them.
A few more questions that have come in. Say something.
I had a question. I have a son who's a freshman, and I'm pretty confident he didn't go to the career field, but he would like to have an internship this summer. So what would be the next step for him? Just to make an appointment, or to do Handshake, or what would be the first next best step?
I would say the first step would be to make sure that his resume is in our Handshake platform, and to make an appointment one-on-one. We'll review his resume, make sure it's ready to go and be sent. We'll also share tips on how to find opportunities specifically for students who have 1 year. There's also a lot of organizations that are doing special initiatives right now to introduce different careers for freshmen. And they're called industry days. And so they're starting to line up. We also in April will have industry specific boutique career fairs that he can join and participate in. So there are still a lot of opportunities for summer, but he definitely wants to make sure he starts because again, summer, we actually are talking now to companies that today we had a meeting with Morgan Stanley in New York, and they want us to advertise their summer 24 internships already.
Christine, what support do you provide for graduating seniors after graduation?
So our resources are open to alumni, whether they graduated a month, a week, So the same resources in terms of access to all of our events and programs, access to Handshake, one-on-one consults. We want to make sure that our students are successful. So they have full access. We do not turn anything off. After they've been in a certain amount of time, we try to limit, years out. There's some alum who like to kind of set 10 appointments at once. So we try to limit those a little bit more to having 2. Recent graduates, we consider them as students, and we will until they land that position that, makes them excited.
We have another one. You mentioned field trips. Could you expand on those experiences?
Sure. We call them on the road. We will have one we're setting up right now is with Cataract Division, NAVAIR, for students who are primarily interested in kind of engineering roles. But we're also going to Catalent Biopharmaceuticals. So in April is when we're going to start kicking off, end of March, April, all of our field trips. We do them on Fridays. We just had one to a national career fair, the Black Engineer of the Year Award career fair and STEM conference. So they sign up on Handshake. I keep on mentioning Handshake because it is that one portal. They can see all the different trips and they just sign up. It's first come, first serve. Usually our buses take about 30 students.
And how does a student make an appointment with the Career Center? So if they've never been there before, like what's their first step in terms of getting connected to you all?
So we tell students they can make an appointment in multiple ways. They can call our office. They can also stop by. I say if you smell Chick-fil-A, you're very close to us. We're right across from the Chick-fil-A on the second floor of the Math Psychology building. And they can also make it an appointment online at any time. They can log in. If they go onto our website, it says appointments and they can click on it and it goes right into their Handshake account. And then they select the reason for their appointment and if they want it to be 30 minutes or 60 minutes or 15 minutes. And they can schedule right there. Or they can do a drop-in. And we do drop-in appointments from 2 to 4.
Need to unmute myself. My daughter is overseas. Do you have opportunity to offer internship connecting in, say, Europe?
Yes. So the other platform so there's a lot of platforms out there that we have purchased to support our students. We also have a lot of international students who are looking for opportunities abroad. And so it is called Going Global instead. It is the landing page for that platform is on our main page of the Career Center. It's also embedded in Handshake for students who want it. But that platform focuses on opportunities outside of the United States, internships and full-time jobs. They can go into a country, pull the positions and have those positions in the language of the country or in English. And they can also learn about different career customs, how to what do resumes typically look like in that country or that, where they're applying. It's a wonderful resource and it's called Going Global.
That's awesome. Did you say you were on this in Math Psych building, second floor? Yep, I know that
Yes.
you are. Yes. What services / supports do you offer students considering graduate school?
So we have a number of different opportunities. We do a graduate conference where we have a lot of our scholar programs like the Meyerhoff, McNair's kind of help train our students on how to best, number one, decide if graduate school is right for them now. What are the questions that you need to ask? How do you write your personal statements? We also do workshops on that. They can also connect. We recommend a 60-minute appointment for that, for personal statement reviews. We have a lot of resources on our website. So a lot of different, more of like one-on-one help with the graduate school process. In addition, a lot of our academic departments and our scholar programs, if your student is affiliated with a scholar program, also offers a lot of one-on-one support with graduate school decision-making.
And can foreigners also take internships in the US? So I'm assuming international students, perhaps.
Yes, absolutely. So UMBC, our community is very diverse. We also have a lot of international students. that are here. If a student is an international student on an F1 visa, they have to be in the United States for 2 full semesters. After that point, they can do an internship. We actually coordinate that entire process. We call it CPT, Curricular Practical Training, for students, but they're enrolled in our internship practicum so that they kind of fulfill one of their requirements, which is that the internship be related to their degree study. But yes, they can. Certain organizations, we are in Maryland, a lot of our organizations are connected to the government. So there are certain companies and organizations that require US citizenship, but others that do not. And our database in Handshake allows a student to click on what companies and what organizations and positions are open to students who are here on an F1 visa.
Give a moment to pause to see if there's anyone else, because I do have one more question.
I'm actually on your website. I'm trying to see where where would my son go for Handshake? I'm like looking to see what is it under, which tab?
I'm gonna, okay, how come I cannot see anything? Oh,
When
I'm
I
gonna,
just typed on Google UMBC handshake, it comes up. So if it is
yeah,
helpful.
you can do that too. I'll show you. I'm so embarrassed because I actually still have to plug in UMBC Career Center as if I don't know my own website. So I'm on our website now. As I mentioned, we have, so these are all of our different platforms. I mentioned Retrievers Connect, right? We have a career guide. We have big interview. If they have an interview tomorrow, they can actually jump on this platform and kind of a person will come up and ask questions. They can say what kind of interview they have, and it's recorded so they can see themselves in the platform. There was a contact, the Going Global that I mentioned. All these platforms do require that the student also log into their, UMBC portal, but you'll see the actual first, quick link is Handshake. Also at the top for students. I don't know why, but we had a huge banner across that said Handshake. I think we're promoting this, our conference. And like I said, tomorrow we take off things and on for Kennedy Krieger. We have them tomorrow coming. But Handshake, I'm going to make sure my team puts that back on because I don't know why we took it off. We do have the link right here.
The one question I wanted to throw your way, Christine, is there. I know there are quite a few I saw in terms of who have registered who have students who are undecided. And so can you talk a little bit about how you may work with undecided students who are still kind of trying to figure out their way in terms of declaring a major?
Absolutely. Even if students are decided, are they truly decided? And, it's okay. Sometimes we even are in our careers and we're not sure if we're decided in terms of what we want to do or where we want to go next. And so it's important to, number one, feel comfortable with that, own it. We have a number of assessments. We also have certified career counselors on our team. They are our career specialists, 3. Diane Crumpfogel, she's kind of our leader in that area. Our staff is trained on a couple of different assessments, including the Myers-Briggs. Students can take that focus and specifically the career piece of it. We also have an assessment called Focus 2 that is really kind of designed to be in a career assessment, but focuses on majors that they might want to consider. So typically, if someone is undecided, we have them take an assessment. We will go through the assessment and have a conversation about that. And then we'll also recommend, like I said, we have the Retrievers Connect where they can talk to alumni. We have these weekly alumni panels called Inside Scoops. So they can kind of see what people are doing in various fields. And then in April, we have those lots of mega kind of networking alumni events. Again, to kind of let them think through what they might want to study and what are some of the opportunities that a lot of the students who take on those fields go into after they graduate from UMBC. And everything's free. We pay for like the Myers-Briggs. If you go online and try to take it, there's a pretty big, it's like $15. Not a huge hefty cost, but we cover that for students.
Other questions? Oh, you're welcome. See, thank you. This was helpful. Awesome. I know we have one more minute. Do you have any homework for our families today to take with them?
Homework. I have to do some homework for one of my sons. I have a middle schooler and a high schooler, as two of them. But I don't do their homework. I check their homework. Well, sometimes it feels like I do it though, right? So homework for all of you. I just, I have open conversations. We all do, and ask, students to talk about where they're involved, encourage them to get involved in the UMBC community. We have so many resources, not only the Career Center, but getting involved in student orgs, maybe connecting with study abroad. As students, this is the time to engage. We've been in a world where we've been doing everything virtual and kind of understanding how to engage in a virtual way. But it's really important to also engage in a personal way to develop those deep connections. And I just want to reiterate that we have so many employers interested in UMBC talent, and it is a real joy to see those connections be made. The number of emails that we have received from Friday's event, telling us how excited, a student who didn't want to go but went, and how happy that they, went, and the connections and the interviews. That first internship can change a whole student's attitude towards school and excitement for their field of study. And it's a wonderful thing to be a part of, and something that we really cherish and are proud to be a part of.
That's awesome. And so if parents or family members need to reach out to someone in the Career Center, what's the best, just for some advice or some help in guiding their student, what's the best way to go about that, Christine?
So our website, I hate to always refer people to websites or platforms, but we do have a contact us section. Our team is also focused on having specific staff devoted to different industry areas. All of our contact information, including our email, is there. Students can also reach out and do direct messaging to us and handshake. So lots of different ways. We try to be as responsible as quickly as we can. Emails also have gotten a little overwhelming for us, but we try to manage that as much as we can too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christine, for this. And I'm just going to also drop in the chat the families@umbc.edu. If all else fails, you could always email us there and we will get you connected to the right person if you have a question or concern in regards to either this presentation or your student's experience or anything like that. And so thank you all so much for this great conversation and great questions. And I saw a lot of thank yous in there, Christine, and in terms of saying this information in session was very helpful. So thank you for taking the time out this evening to share this wonderful content with our families. And we encourage you all to share, to pass this along to your student. We will be providing the recording as soon as it's available. But thank you all so much for joining us this evening. And that's a wrap, folks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again for the invite. Looking forward to working with your student. Thank you.
Welcome. No problem. Take care. No
Bye.
problem, Renee. Take care. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.